Hey everyone, my name is Evan Thomas, and in today's video, you're going to learn everything you need to know about the new Zhiyun Weebill Lab. We're going to unbox it, set it up, balance it, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks for getting started and how to get amazing footage. Let me start off by saying that I am so happy with the Zhiyun Weebill Lab. I mainly use gimbals for travel videos, and I was previously using the Zhiyun Crane 2, but it was much too big, cumbersome, bulky, and heavy to fit into my travel bag. This is where the Weebill comes in. It's light, compact, and powerful. It's absolutely tiny. It's really an amazing product, and it fits into my travel bag, my beach bag, my backpack. You can take it with you anywhere, and it barely weighs anything. If you're wondering why it has such a strange name, a weebill is actually a small Australian bird. So the name is quite fitting actually, considering how small this gimbal is. It also has a new design that allows you to do underslung mode, and I'm going to show you all of that. So let's get started and unbox it. First thing you'll notice is this styrofoam box. I'm not really a fan of this. This is the route that DJI goes for their Osmos. It does have latches here, so it's a little bit secure, but I much prefer the old Zhiyun cases that were hard shelled and provided much better protection for your gimbal. I feel that this one is pretty cheap, and over time it's gonna get damaged. So let's open it up. Inside we have the battery charger, the batteries, tripod, and I'm so happy they included the tripod, and it also doubles as a handle for underslung mode. All of the cables and accessories that you might need, a base plate, and finally, the gimbal itself. Okay, so check this out. Look how small and compact this is. I'm gonna give you a side-by-side of the old Zhiyun Crane and an Apple just for reference. This small size is thanks to its design with the battery compartment. So the batteries in the Crane 2 are down here in the handle. In this new design, the batteries go here. So I'm just gonna pop them in. The batteries, by the way, last 6 to 10 hours. The manual claims 12, but I feel that's a little bit of a stretch. And they take about 2.5 to 3 hours to fully charge. Gonna pop in the tripod. And there you have it. This tripod acts as a handle, but I'm just going to use it set it up now. It's very important to get your gimbal perfectly balanced. If it's not balanced, the motors will have to work harder, the footage will be shakier, and your battery will die faster. Not to mention you can damage the gimbal if it's not balanced correctly. So the first thing you want to do is take your camera and attach it to the base plate. The bigger and heavier a camera is, the further back it needs to be on the base plate. This camera is fairly light, so I'm going to keep it pretty much right in the middle. You just use a coin or a screwdriver to attach this, and then you pull down this button and slide it in. And what you want to do is try to get the center of gravity of the camera lined up with the axis of this motor. So if you can imagine, the center of gravity of this camera is somewhere where the sensor is. So obviously if you have a longer lens, the center of gravity is going to be further out away from the camera. But on this, just try to feel it out in your hand and try to balance it on one finger, and it kind of gives you an idea of where the center of gravity is. So center of gravity for this camera is like right around here on my finger. So I want to try to align up this point of the camera with this motor. So I push down this button, slide it in, and then I'm going to tighten this screw here on the side. Then I'm going to unlock this screw here, and that's going to allow the camera to tilt freely. So the first one you want to balance is this side one, and this controls the height. So you can see I can slide it up, I can slide it down. If it's at the very bottom, you know that the camera will only stay flat. If I go here and I let go, it's going to stay flat, and that's not good. If I go all the way to the top, you can see that the camera is always going to point down no matter what, and that's not good either. So you want to try to find a sweet spot in the middle where I can kind of point the camera into one place and it'll stay there. So I'm gonna need to go back up again, and you're always just making micro adjustments. That's close. See how it's staying when I let go? So that's probably about good on the height. Now I just need to adjust this part. So you can see if I let go, the camera's shooting, it's pointing up, which means there's too much weight going that way. So I'm gonna loosen this screw here and push this forward slightly. Now the camera's going too far that way, so I need to push it back that way. Basically what that's saying is that the center of gravity of the camera is too far forward of that motor, so I need to push it back this way. Okay, and once you have it balanced, you should be able to point the camera in any direction, and it should stay in that direction. This can be very frustrating when you're first getting started. I've almost thrown my gimbals out the window a couple times because it's so hard to find that perfect balance the first time. But as soon as you get the feel for it, you'll be able to balance it in no time. If you want to check out another video I made on balancing that's a little bit more in detail, just click this link here. Okay, so now that the tilt motor is balanced, I'm going to lock it again here. And we're going to balance the roll motor. And you can see when I let go, the camera goes that direction, which means we need to push the camera that way. On the old cranes, you would loosen a screw here, but the screw on this camera is actually on the bottom of the base plate. So unscrew that, push the camera this way. Again, we're always making micro adjustments. You can see I pushed it too far. I'll let go now, tighten it. I put it this direction, I put it that direction. It's perfectly balanced on that motor. So I'm gonna tighten it up. I'm gonna lock it one more time. And now we just have this bottom motor to balance. And to do that, you unscrew it. You hold the gimbal parallel to the table or the ground. This one's always a little bit harder. Gives you a good workout too. And you can see that that's balanced, so I'll tighten it up. All right, so now if I unlock all of the axes, I should be able to point the camera in any direction and it stays there. That's a perfectly balanced gimbal. That's how you do the test. That's the balance test there. Point it in any direction. If it stays there, it's balanced. If you have multiple lenses and you're always switching them out, you'll find that it's really annoying to rebalance the gimbal every time you swap a lens. So what I like to do is just note with these little hash marks where the gimbal is balanced for each lens, and I put that in the notes of my phone. That way, you'll always have a quick reference of which lens requires which hash mark. Now I'm gonna walk you through all of the modes. So the first one, and the one that I use most often, is the pan follow mode. And to get in that mode, you just slide this button up to PF. And pan follow mode just simply means if you pan left, if you pan right, the gimbal follows. If I slide that button down to L for lock, the gimbal is locked in any position. No matter what I do, the gimbal and the camera are gonna stay facing forward. So I'm gonna click that back up to PF to go into pan follow. If I want to flip the camera around for vlogging, I triple tap this trigger button. And then you can do vlogging. I'm gonna triple tap again to go back forward. If I hold down the go button, that simply puts the gimbal into go follow mode, which means it acts more quickly to all of my movements. If I hold down the trigger on the back of the gimbal, it goes to follow mode, meaning if I tilt down, tilt up, the camera will follow. If you tap the POV button, that puts you in point of view, and what that means is that the camera will follow your roll movements as well. If I double tap POV, the camera slides forward, and I can point it forward and use the joystick to rotate it. This is kind of a mode that I wouldn't see myself using that often. Probably the coolest thing about this gimbal, besides its size, is this underslung mode. So if I remove the tripod and put it on here, you also want to make sure that this lock button is clicked so the tripod doesn't accidentally come unscrewed. Now you can hold the gimbal in underslung mode. This is really effective for getting those shots really close to the ground. And the old gimbals, you'd have to invert the gimbal, hold the tripod awkwardly, and it always felt like it was going to slip out of your hand. But with this one, you can have a much easier time getting those low shots to the ground. Before I go any further, I just want to say if you're enjoying this video, please click like, click the subscribe button to see more tutorials and reviews. And if you have any questions at all, leave a question in the comment section. I respond to every single question. So there are definitely some design improvements from previous versions of the cranes. One being that this motor no longer obstructs the view of the camera here. In the old versions of the crane, this motor was higher up and you couldn't see into the LCD screen. The other added benefit of having that motor lower is that when you do go into the underslung mode, you have a little bit more room for a shotgun microphone on top without the motor hitting it. Another great design feature of the Weebill that the other cranes don't have is this Arc Swiss and Manfrotto quick release plate. So if I unscrew this here and push down that button, I can take it off. I can change the battery, change the memory card. I can go handheld for a while. And if I want to quickly reattach it to the gimbal without losing my balance, I just push down this button and slide it back on and just make sure it's locked. Tighten this to be double secure, and you can see that my balance has remained the same. So this is a huge design improvement over previous versions of the crane, where you would have to buy a third-party quick release plate. So the pros of this gimbal is that it's lightweight, compact, pretty affordable. Some of the cons are with the designs of the button. So for example, when I was showing you the go mode, if you have this on a monopod or an underslung mode, you can't use go mode because you have to be holding it down. This is an oversight by Zhiyun, and I'm hoping they'll fix this with a software or a firmware update soon. There is one way to solve this problem, and that is to use the Zhiyun app, which you can download by scanning this QR code. And it's also very beneficial for setting the sensitivity, the motor weight, and all the nuances that you want in your gimbal. So the menu system is a little bit unintuitive at first. There's not really a menu button. What you have to do is click the bottom of the scroll wheel to get in the menu where those 3 dots are. And to click accept, you click the right. And to go back, you click the left of the scroll wheel. It's still a little bit intuitive, but once you get used to it, you'll be fine. So all said and done, this is an amazing gimbal for its size. If you have a bigger A7R III or an A7S II and you're using big lenses, you might want to go with the Zhiyun Crane 2, but for a Sony A6500 or Sony A6300, this gimbal is absolutely perfect, especially if you're taking it on vacation with you or if you're making travel videos. The size and the compactness, I cannot praise enough. I mean, you just look at how small this thing is, and when it's all locked up without the camera, it's absolutely tiny. So this is what I'll be taking with me on all my travels in the coming year. All right, that's it for today's video. If you have any questions, like I said, please leave them in the comments section. Please click like and please click subscribe.